Madam President, honourable members. I think it's very important to have this subject on the agenda, ending violence against women. As you know, this issue is a priority for the Commission, and of course we cannot accept or tolerate any kind of violence. Although I need to point out from the very beginning very clearly that the matters of public security and order are not in the competencies of the EU but of the Member States. Gender-based violence violates the fundamental rights of the victim and is an expression of inequality between women and men. Violence against women, including sexual harassment and sexual violence, is unacceptable wherever it happens, whatever the circumstances and regardless of the background of the perpetrators. Everyone in Europe must respect the law and abide by the common values upon which the EU is founded. Sexual assault and sexual violence are not new or imported crimes. In fact, the Fundamental Rights Agency survey showed us that half of women in the EU have experienced sexual harassment. More than 1 in 10 women in the European Union say that they have been victims of sexual violence, and 1 in 20 has been raped. We must ensure that our streets, squares and stations are safe for women and girls. We must create the environment where victims are not afraid to report sexual harassment and violence like they would if they had become victims of robbery. And we must make sure that perpetrators are prosecuted and convicted. The events in Germany on last night of 2015 have put focus on the special challenge of sexual assault in public spaces. We welcome the measures proposed in Germany to address this via stronger provisions in the national criminal code. We consider exchanging detailed views on this in debate among ministers of justice. The Council of Europe Convention on Preventing and Combating Violence against Women and Domestic Violence, called Istanbul Convention, sets legally binding standards at the international level, as parties must protect women and girls against gender-based violence, including sexual violence and sexual harassment. The Commission is at an advanced stage in its considerations on a possible accession to the Convention. A first concrete step was the publication of a roadmap by the Commission in October 2015. The EU has adopted legal measures that provide for protection and support for victims. One problem is that currently not enough victims of sexual violence report the crime to the police authorities. Here, the new Victims' Rights Directive can make a difference, as it will strengthen the support for victims in the Member States. Member States have to apply the Victims' Rights Directive that grants rights for victims of crime and their families concerning information, translation, support and protection while police investigate the crime and during court proceedings. The specific needs of victims of gender-based violence and sexual violence are highlighted and addressed. They should have access to specialist support, and special measures have to be put in place to protect them from further harm during criminal proceedings. The Commission will closely monitor full and correct implementation of the directive. We all know legislation alone is not enough. Therefore, we finance projects that make a real impact in the life of women and girls in Europe through our rights, equality and citizenship programmes. Currently, there are 2 open calls for proposals. We have over €3 million available for national or transnational projects to enhance the rights of victims of violence, and we have another €3 million available for transnational projects to combat sexual harassment and sexual violence against women. Equality between women and men is one of the fundamental values of the European Union, and we remain strongly committed to achieving gender equality. Our efforts to combat sexual harassment and sexual violence are therefore part of a larger strategic engagement for gender equality. Let me reassure you that in the coming years we will take a series of actions to improve equality in the Union and through that decrease violence against women. Thank you very much. I am looking forward to our debate, and I would like to convey the message of my colleague Vera Jourova that she was not able to be here today due to other commitments of her portfolio. Thank you very much.
Thank you.